Mr. Tokula, thank you for joining us. It's so good to have you with us.
It's a great pleasure to be here.
You recently joined the Korea Economic Institute of America as the vice president, and before that you've been an American diplomat for almost 40 years. Could you tell us about your experience with the two Koreas?
Well, the first time I visited Korea was actually 1971 while I was a student. So I spent about a month there traveling around the country, and it has changed a great deal since then. I joined the Foreign Service in 1976. I served in Korea from 2009 to 2012 as Deputy Chief Mission at the U.S. Embassy in Seoul. But at other points in my career, I've had contact with the Korean government in Iraq and in Mongolia, and most recently in London. So I've been in and around Korea for a long time.
Let's first talk about the latest release of an American detainee in North Korea, Mr. Jeffrey Fowle. He was released, unlike previous cases, without a high-level special envoy. Why do you think Pyongyang let him go?
Mr. Fowle's case may have been a bit different. First of all, he was not charged in a Korean court, so he hadn't been through the legal process yet. It may be the circumstances of his case were a bit different. What he seems to have done seemed rather minor, leaving a Bible in a hotel room. It may have been that this was part of a political effort, too, to improve relations with the U.S. It may have had something to do with the recent pressure that North Korea is under because of its human rights record. But I think it's important not to overanalyze these cases. Every case is a little bit different. We're just glad that Mr. Fowle is released.
So if we could just think about it, would the release of Mr. Fowle somehow lead to more dialogue between Washington and Pyongyang and improve relations between the two?
I wouldn't want to draw relationships too closely between individual private cases and diplomatic moves. I think the cases of individuals who are arrested or detained or imprisoned are individual, particular private cases. And if we link them too close to diplomacy, it makes them into pawns. And no private citizen should be treated that way. That way, it may be that Mr. Fowle's release or others would remove a possible slight impediment to improving relations. But I wouldn't want to draw direct connections.
Let's look at the U.S. policy on North Korea in general. It's been more than 5 years since the Obama administration adopted the strategic patience policy and also applied sanctions on North Korea. But we see not much progress on the North Korean nuclear issue. So do you think we should change strategies now and reach out more to North Korea?
I think the Obama administration's policies are based on a reading of history. Over the past decades, we've had a series of false dawns. Relations were on the verge of improving. There have been promises made and not kept, and there have been disappointments. So I think the policy is not one of very different in terms of the substance of it. The difference is the Obama administration is looking for actions from North Korea merely than simply promises. So it's a different approach, but one based on realism, I believe.
The Obama administration is asking for some kind of will or commitment or some kind of attitude change from North Korea about their commitment to the denuclearization. But come to think of it, North Korea already conducted nuclear tests 3 times. So would it be a viable goal to go for denuclearization of North Korea at this point?
Yeah, I know there's some discussion of that, but I still believe that denuclearization is correctly the highest priority, both for Seoul and Washington. And I don't think it's unrealistic over time, because it's not in anyone's interest for North Korea to become a nuclear weapons state. It's not in South Korea's interest, not in China's or Japan's or the US's. It's not even North Korea's interest. Proliferation of nuclear weapons is a global challenge, global issue, not just a regional one. And no one should be encouraged by the idea that any country could become a new nuclear weapons state. So I think in time, everyone will realize it's the best course for everyone to not introduce a new nuclear weapons state.
If we could just change subjects a little bit. The two Koreas are slated to hold a second round of high-level meetings soon. With such inter-Korean reconciliation efforts, can it go hand in hand with the denuclearization of North Korean efforts?
Absolutely. I think that denuclearization is the highest priority issue, but if you could unlock that issue, if North Korea could take concrete steps, then many other things become possible. So it's actually a precondition, it's not an obstacle. And once that's on the way, then many things become reasonable to do.
Let's talk more about inter-Korean relations. Recently, high-level North Korean officials came to Seoul to much surprise. But soon after, North Korea shut down leaflets from South Korea and also made moves to trigger skirmishes along the land and maritime borders. What do you think are North Korean motives?
I think it's fairly traditional North Korean behavior. In the past, we've seen many instances of steps being made to accommodate international concerns, accompanied by threats or by provocative acts. It seems, watching North Korea's behavior, that they believe that some combination of instilling hope and fear with their negotiating partners will lead to their desired ends. We believe that's a mistake. We don't think that the provocative approach is going to achieve positive results.
Thank you for your time and insight, Mr. Tokula.
It's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.